Welcome to part 12 of the Infinity Watch. We are now on the last part of the phase 2 of the MCU before we start going into the old Civil War. So today we're now looking at Ant-Man. Now Ant-Man is unlike the end of the first phase where Avengers marked the last one in the phase. We've got a little bit of a post credits, so to speak, with the Ant-Man. We've had the big battle that was Age of Ultron, and now we're going back down to Earth with a little smaller film just to round it all up and end on a lot happier note than what was ended with the Age of Ultron. So today, of course, like I said, smallest character in the MCU, but with a film with the biggest heart. Uh, you know, uh, if you're a long time follower, you know Edgar Wright was supposed to direct, and he still has a writing credit. Uh, Peyton Reed took over when Edgar Wright left due to creative differences. That's all history. You can all find out more about that on the internet. There's loads of sites that are dealing with it. But I would love to have seen Edgar Wright's take on it because he was developing the film and the whole concept of the whole Ant-Man films right from an early stage when the MCU was in its infancy. So an Edgar Wright film would have been, an Ant-Man would have been fantastic to see. I mean, he did great business with Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and Baby Driver, recent film, was absolutely fantastic. So I'd still love to see where he could go with an MCU character, and hopefully somewhere down the line he may do it. Can't see it happening, but I would love to see Edgar Wright tackle a major superhero franchise. But back to Ant-Man. Peyton Reed, who's best known for Yes Man, when he took over, he has delivered a fantastic film. Film so good that he's coming back for the sequel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and bringing the entire cast back. So yay, I cannot wait. Because Ant-Man, it was what was needed after all the big explosions and bangs of Avengers: Age of Ultron, and going off into space with Ragnarok and not Ragnarok, Dark World. Ragnarok's coming. Ragnarok's an Infinity Watch soon with Dark World, and of course Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's good to go back down to Earth and to have a smaller superhero film whose real only link to the rest of the MCU is a little bit of business with the Falcon, Anthony Mackie, and that scene in itself works perfectly. I mean, but back to the whole casting and everything. You got Michael Douglas as the aging Hank Pym. You've got Evangelina Lilly as his daughter Hope Van Dyne. Corey Stoll as the villain, Darren Cross Yellow Jacket, and of course Michael Pena as Luis, the star of the show, in my opinion. You could literally watch Michael Pena as Luis sit here on this chair, narrate the entire film, and it would be absolutely incredible. Stick it on the big screen, and it'd still be incredible. Luis is a fantastic character, and his addition to the film with his other little partners in crime are just absolutely fantastic. I mean, it doesn't steal away from Paul Rudd, who is absolutely fantastic as Scott Lang, the Ant-Man. Paul Rudd, who was brilliant in Anchorman, does some great business and was the comedy element that was really needed for a central character in the MCU now. I mean, he is a great Scott Lang Ant-Man, and this is him to play. It's absolutely fantastic. The effects in the film are on point. I mean, it is a very understated after what's came recently. Come recently, its predecessors in Phase Two, and it's fun. It does bring back the fun, the action, the check your brain out of the door, just sit down and enjoy Ant-Man for what it is, a lower film in the MCU in terms of bangs for bucks, but it's fun. It's got the great comedy. I mean, it's not over the top comedy, but it is just like I said. I can't overstate the word fun at the moment on this, which I'm using a lot. I mean, even the casting of you got casting of Judy Greer, who was recently when this film came out in Jurassic World. I mean, great actress. I thought she was brilliant in Elizabethtown. But going back to the business with Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, he was superb. The Falcon was what was needed at one point. To link Scott Lang, the Ant-Man, into the bigger MCU, and it works. And there's a great payoff at the end of the film, in the post credits, that leads up to the Civil War with the Captain and the Falcon, and a nice little reference to the Ant-Man there alone. But before that, there's that bit of business again with Luis, where you have the first reference in the MCU to the Spider-Man. It's like saying, yes, we've got Spider-Man and he's coming soon. And it was a great way to introduce the character, if not physically, but just by mentioning like we have someone who can crawl up walls. It works so perfectly. I mean, the story which starts out as the story is a heist caper, with Scott Lang being tasked to or tricked stealing the Ant-Man costume, which brings Hank Pym into the situation, the original Ant-Man, who wants to steal the Yellow Jacket tech, which was based on his Ant-Man tech. It's a film that works perfectly, and it is a great family film, which is one of the key elements in the film is family. Family does play a huge part in the film, so it's a nice little touch. Like I said, I'm saying the word fantastic quite a lot, but it is fantastic. It is, and it's great. It was what was needed, and it's what was needed before we go into the Civil War, which tears the MCU apart on a grand scale. Which is a nice little lead on to what's coming up next. Coming up next is part 13 of the Infinity Watch Civil War. See you then.